I think one of the things that you said was that the groom says to the bride, I will not drink of the cup again until the marriage ceremony, similar to what Jesus says. Now, I know with the wine that was the cup, the third cup that Jesus drank, and it's called the fruit of the vine, as opposed to just wine. There's a special term for that cup. Is that the same thing with the marriage cup? It's called the fruit of the vine?
Well, it could be, but
okay.
See, that wasn't the point that was going on there. Let me kind of tie this together for you. When the cup was drunk, first of all, I'm going to give you a couple of extra details here. That when the bridegroom, they're at the point where they're going to drink the cup. There's been an exchange of gifts. The bride price has been paid by the father of the bridegroom to the father of the bride, which might be probably animals. The dowry, usually possessions, could have been money, but it usually was possessions, is presented before everybody. That's her safety net in case something happens to the bridegroom, whether he abandons her, dies, something happens, he disappears. I mean, these things happen a lot more back in those days. But then, as they're underneath this hoopah, after all of this happens, that the bridegroom is handed a cup, handed a pitcher. He pours this cup of undiluted wine, this cup of joy, in as fine of a cup as the people can afford. Peasants, it still might be just a stone cup, but it's as fine as they can do because it's such a solemn thing. And he presents it to the bride. He just hands it to her. Now, at this point, the bride is given a privilege that really women in that world, no matter whether they were from the Hebrew world or the Greco-Roman world or any place else, were never given. And that was the opportunity to call the wedding off.
She was able to refuse it.
Yeah, he can't do it. But she is given the privilege. All hail the Hebrews. Man, what a blessing. God just working through them in such beautiful ways to make sure that despite the different roles that men and women have in this world, that he leveled the playing field in an amazing way. He hands the bride the cup. And if she wants him, if she agrees, this is a moment, yes or no, for her. Nobody else gets it, only her. And now only at this moment. It doesn't happen any other time. It's like, now or never. Yep. If she wants him, she takes the cup, she takes the sip and hands it back to him. And he takes it from her hand, and then he takes a sip. Done deal. But if she doesn't want him, in front of all the witnesses, she pushes the cup back. She rejects the cup. Now, you think of this, just the words that we use when we're reading the Bible and doing Bible studies, what that would mean to us, symbolically at the very least. Rejecting the cup, the marriage is off. She will not marry this man. She doesn't want to marry this man. And even though it's her right to do so, now suddenly probably the chuppah falls down. There are fist fights, dust flying in the air, furniture flying around, whatever the case may be. But nobody there would deny her right to do it. So that was what she would do. But if she took the cup, then she has received the bridegroom and she's received the covenant, the cup of the covenant that the bridegroom has offered her. She's taken the sip. She hands it back to him. He takes the sip and says, you are now covenanted to me by the laws of Moses and Israel. Now, he may or may not say what's coming next. He doesn't have to say it because everybody knows what's going to happen, but he could say it. And I'm sure frequently people did say these things, maybe more frequently than we know, where he would say that I will not drink of this cup again, or this fruit of the vine, as it were, until I drink it anew with you in my Father's house. Now, that simply means that we're going to re-ratify the covenant in front of all the witnesses on our wedding day, so that now we will live as husband and wife from this point on. So this happens inside the compound of the bridegroom's family or his father's house. And all the witnesses, all the guests are there, and he'll pour the cup again and he'll take the first sip, and then he hands it to her and she takes the sip. That re-ratifies the covenant. There's nothing wrong with that. People would do that all the time. God does it many times in the Old Testament, keeps re-ratifying his covenant so that people know that it's there, not that he broke it.
I wonder if it's the cup itself that he says, I won't drink of this cup again. Like the cup itself is put aside until that ratification.
It very well could be. A family cup with a peasant home could be used for a lot of different ceremonial purposes. So they would keep it in a place that was commonly referred to as their holiest shrine. We would call it the family safe, or perhaps the china cabinet, where you keep all the good china in there for special guests or special occasions. This is where the ketubah would have been kept, the kosher plates for special meals and all of that. Whatever the family could afford, this is where they keep all the jewels, so to speak. And so they could reuse the cup for other purposes. But when it came down to that cup, it's identifying the cup of the covenant, whether it's it would be the same receptacle for sure, but it would be the use of this cup under the same covenantal circumstances, but a year later when we're finally together for the rest of our lives. And they would do this. So you go to the Last Supper. Yeah. Jesus pours all these different cups. On the third cup, he pours the cup, and he said, this cup means the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for the forgiveness of sins of many. And drink it, all of you, for I will not drink of this cup again until I drink it anew with you, or this fruit of the vine again, literally, or because I will not drink it until I drink it anew with you again in my Father's kingdom. Now, what's interesting about that statement is that in any Passover, that statement is not there. It doesn't exist in the Passover. So the question comes up, why did Jesus say that?